What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button to show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright guys, we're here today to do some hero analysis on the seasonal server. It's probably over by now. It definitely is over by now. So we got to record these kind of before it ends. Anyways, we got a couple to do here. First up, we're just going to do Sigmund on this video. I've got 13-star Bade and 13-star Edgar to do after this. But for nowsies, we're on the Sigmund. So we're going to do like always, we'll read over the skills and such like that, all these down here. We'll look at the gearing guide and what I recommend to gear a 10-star Sigmund. And then we'll talk about where he's good, where he's not good, and take him out for a couple of battles to show him off a little bit. Alright? Alright, so, clear throat, get ready. Let's start things out here. The active skill, Flame Bomb. Deals 166% of his attack as damage against 3 random enemies, reducing their armor by 30% and burns them, dealing 54% of attack as damage each round for 3 rounds. If the target's a warriors, it deals 86% more burning damage. So essentially, he's going to reduce armor of units and set them on fire. Nice. Very nice. Extra damage to warriors doesn't really come into play very often that I can think of off the top of my head. At least, definitely not in PvE. There's not many warrior marauders. There's some warrior bosses, I guess, but you don't see a lot of that. So that doesn't really usually get procced very often. Probably more for PvP, I guess, when you're fighting Grus and such. Anyways, first passive here, Burning Pain. Basic attack has a 100% chance to reduce the target's armor by 24%, dealing 45% of his attack as damage each round, lasts for 4 rounds, and it increases his own damage to the burning target by 40%, that also lasts 4 rounds. This right here is pretty much why he's used in PvE a lot. He's going to reduce armor with not only his basic attack, but also his active skill. He has a damage over time, but he also boosts his own damage to the person he's attacking. That means that, you know, if you're fighting one boss, he's constantly going to have a damage buff versus that boss. Whereas he's fighting a whole team of enemies, he doesn't always get that huge damage buff. Really nice for PvE damage right there. Next passive, it can be kind of just the stat passives. Increase armor by 48%, attack by 20%, HP by 30%. The armor, you might wonder why that's important. You'll see here in a second. Bam. After being attacked by an enemy's armor is less than his own, he has a 100% chance to counterattack, dealing 180% of his attack as damage. So obviously, if he has high armor, he's going to have higher armor than people that attack him, and he's going to be able to counterattack them, and also anybody that he attacks, he lowers their armor so that he has more armor than they do. I think he has the highest armor stat in the game of 3171. I don't think anything has a higher armor stat. I'm like 65% sure. So, there's the skills. Obviously set up for a PvE hero. You do see a little bit early PvP usage of Sigmund, but not later on. Anyways, gearing guide. I've got my 6-star gear on him because it's the best, I guess, right? Right. So, stones. I run a flat attack stone on my Sigmund. Mainly, you want Sigmund to deal damage. He's great for stripping armor, and that's fantastic, but you also want his damage to be as high as possible. If you're going to get highest damage, you've got to use attack. That's the best way to get your damage to go up, unless on some build you're looking for crit and crit damage. In Sigmund's case, I would say attack's probably better than a crit build, pretty much for sure. There's no way around that. So, attack stones. Now, in official servers, you do see a little bit of a tweak in Sigmund, especially like early game. You're going to see more hybrid built Sigmunds. Sigmunds that they want to last in PvP, but they also need for PvE damage. So you do see some people run HP stones and attack artifacts, or attack stones and HP artifacts. Generally speaking, especially near the end of the game when you're using Sigmund, there's no reason to have HP on a Sigmund in many cases. He doesn't really need it. He's just there to deal damage for your PvE team, so attack's pretty much the only way you build him. If you end up hitting into a Marauder that's like the Kamath Marauder, and he's like totally sodomizing your Sigmund before he can do any damage, maybe invest in a reduced damage artifact or something for him there, but overall, you want attack for him. That's where he deals his most damage. Artifacts, obviously kind of the same story. You do see mixed artifacts early game. I prefer the attack-based artifacts for mine. The Punisher Staff here, obviously one of the best. It boosts his attack, but also boosts his crit and crit damage, which means if he does crit, he hits really hard, but if he's not critting, his attack is still boosted. So, great little artifact here. There's a little red one I believe I was using before I got this. Is it still in here somewhere? It's not that one, that's the HP one. Maybe I don't have it on this one. There is a red artifact exclusive that has a flat attack and attack percentage. That's not bad on Sigmund for a red artifact. Things like that. Really, you're looking for attack. Now, like I said, if you are kind of hybridizing him because he's one of your first 10s and you want him to work in PvE and PvP, you can run reduced damage HP artifacts. They do work. You can just run attack and HP artifacts like this. Things like that will definitely help him out. But generally speaking, at the end, like when you're starting to just build him for attack, you just want the attack artifact. So there's the Sigmund. There's the stats. Don't have mine enabled. It was a sad day. Or the skin, which is also sad because it looks pretty cool. But what is Sigmund good at? What's he bad at? Well, we already talked about it. Mainly bosses. That's Sigmund's big job, is boss fighting. Early game, he does help you climb the Tower of Oblivion a little easy because he has counterattacks. He does knock through some of those nodes a little easier than other heroes. But near the end of the Tower of Oblivion, Tower becomes more of like a PvP camp. You need something with a lot of CC to get through a lot of those waves. So not so much in the end of the tower. I would say Sigmund isn't nearly as good as he is early on with no crowd control, but he's still usable, I guess. For the Aspen dungeon, I used mine in the Aspen dungeon, and I'm not going to lie, he got crapped on pretty quick. He doesn't go very far. Alright, when he fights assassins like the Walters and Bloodblades, since they're shadow units, they already naturally do more damage to him being Fortress, and they kind of dookie on him pretty quick. So I would say he's not super great in the Aspen dungeon as a node breaker. Can he work? I'm sure. An enabled 3 Sigmund probably does much more better. But 10-star Sigmund, I wasn't super impressed with him. I actually got, well, my Edgar did better, but he's also 13-star. Like I said, it's a thing. I would say 10-star Gru's probably a safer Aspen hero than a Sigmund for like your node breaking, even though Gru can be used as main too. Not super great in the Aspen, can work there, but not very well. And he's not really great in PvP either. Early game PvP is nice, but like I said, you can almost use anything in early game PvP. A 10-star Starlight works okay in early game PvP. But as you progress further and further, he falls off. His main job, it's boss damage. That's really all Sigmund does. So we're going to take him into a boss battle here from Mr. Cinemore. Get ready, Cinemore. We'll just do an attack here like so. This is a Walter. He does attack the back line, which means Sigmund's in a good spot to fight him. He'll get the counterattacks that way if he gets attacked. So we're going to watch this one out and see how much damage Sigmund puts out over the course of the battle. I don't know how great it's going to be. He does a lot of damage versus Margaret, because, she's Abyss. But whatever. We'll watch him hit this up. He usually does pretty decent damage. He's not like God tier or nothing. He's pretty good. He's pretty good in Marauders. There are better heroes that deal more damage later, but he doesn't just... The good thing about Sigmund, alright? It's not just about Sigmund's damage, which is pretty intense. He does drop some pretty solid damage numbers. The great thing about Sigmund is he also boosts your entire team's damage, because he strips the armor down to pretty much 0 on most of your bosses, which means your entire team now hits more damage. As they hit more damage, obviously, he's done his job. He's doing good damage, your team's doing better damage. Very good support unit for PvP or PvE, and I recommend everybody build one. If you've got the copies, there's not really a reason to not build a Sigmund. He's a pretty solid unit. So we're going to run him through like this. Bade and Edgar doing pretty good damage. Get in there, Bade and Edgar. Do it. Do it for me. So I'm assuming, obviously, a 13-star Sigmund would be far and away more superior. But like I said, I don't have that. I don't have a 13-star Sigmund. This is just 10-star analysis. So, wrapping things up here with this battle. Like so. There we go. Get in there. Last round, it's over. Nope, last round here. Now it's over. There we go. And there it is. The defeat, 192 million damage, and of that 192 million, Sigmund dropped 51 million, pretty much 52 mil. Like I said, versus Marauders, he does really well. As you can see, he kept damage pace with Edgar, and Edgar's got type advantage on the Walter. I do believe my Edgar actually has my Aspen passives on him. He doesn't have his damage passives, but whatever, not a big deal. Really good damage. I like him. He's great. And he boosts your entire team's damage. And that's also a nice thing, because everything benefits when the enemy has no armor. It's kind of what he does. You know what we could do? We could just next one more battle and see where he does. Right? Just like so. Defeat. 100. Oh my god! 271 million? What happened? Yeah, there's Edgar kicking some serious buttholio with 105 million damage. Go. Sigmund dropping 65 mil, so he's still in a pretty decent area. A lot of damage. A lot of damage from the Sigmund, and like I said, he's boosting everyone's damage. That's why you like him. Great unit for PvE. We won't run him in PvP because there's really no use to. He's not a PvP hero. I don't have a PvP team. As you can see, I only have 4 10 stars right now because I defeated my 13s. None of them have crowd control. So PvP is a danger town area for my team, and it's not really worth taking him in there anyway because he's not a PvP hero. But overall, highly recommend building a Sigmund. I would show you a battle against the event bosses, the broken spaces, but I'm out of gems, I'm out of brave chips, and all my bosses are, well, it's only 400. That's the 500 one, that's the 450 almost finished. But the event bosses don't just have armor. After multiple battles, and wondering why the crap my Bade hit so weak against the event bosses, it's come clear to me that they have a pretty high amount of reduced damage, which is obviously different from armor. So even if you strip all the armor off of a Marauder or the event, oh my god, the Broken Spaces boss, they still have reduced damage, so they still take less damage than a Marauder will, which is why I'm hitting 14, 15 million crits with headgun and such on Marauders, but I come over here and he's hitting like 5 mil, 10 mil maybe. So they do have a good amount of reduced damage, which makes Sigmund a little less useful here, but again, he does good damage versus bosses. Doesn't matter what the boss is, he's going to do decent damage to them. And stripping off all their armor, even if they do have reduced damage as a passive, is still going to help your damage of your whole team. Because they now have no armor, they just have the reduced damage to stop your attacks, not armor and reduced damage. Very solid PvE unit. I would recommend for sure if you've got copies to build up a Sigmund. He's a great hero. I'm glad to finally get a 10-star built. I had a 10-star, I think, a couple seasonals back, but only got him to level 100 because I ran out of spirit. So I didn't get to do an analysis on him then. Got it today. Feels good. We'll have to build him a 13-star in one of these seasons coming up to see how big of an improvement he is. I want to get everything 13-starred eventually for, like full all-around analyses. Analyses? I don't know, the multiple of analysis. We'll talk about that. So there we go, guys. 6-star gear, though. Obviously, the best gear you're going to have a Sigmund until Warrior Armor comes out. Probably one of the best artifacts for Sigmund for damage dealing rolls, I would say. Attacking crits, really powerful. And the attack stone. So there you go, guys. That's the analysis of Sigmund. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure smash that thumbs up button to show your support. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. And tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.